Well, to quote Moses, be sure your sin will find you out. Well, this is Jason for Soulfire. Here in this video, I want to talk about 3 things we can learn about addiction from Jeffrey Toobin. Here on this channel, we want to offer gospel hope for a porn-filled world. Let's jump right in. Here's 3 things we can learn about addiction from Jeffrey Toobin. First, let's talk about the situation here. Jeffrey Toobin was exposed on a Zoom call, literally masturbating in front of coworkers. As a result of that, was suspended from his work, and it created quite a storm. And in fact, the majority of the coverage of that, some of it was obviously just news-related, informational, but a lot of it was mockery and condemnation and shame that was aimed toward him. Now, the purpose of this video is by no means to throw stones at Jeffrey Toobin. In fact, I know for sure that if everything I had ever thought or done was put on a Zoom call in front of coworkers, I also probably would lose my job. And the same is probably true for you, that if the things that you have struggled with, the thoughts, the temptations, the things you've given into, if that was exposed to the world, then you too would be in the same boat. I know that I'm reminded of the words of Jerry Bridges, who whenever a situation like this would come out, he would say, "But for the grace of God, so go I." Jerry Bridges was able to understand the situation that Mr. Toobin has found himself in. If it wasn't for the grace of God, I too would be in that exact same situation. This is why the words of Jesus in John chapter 8, talking to the religious leaders when they wanted to stone the woman caught in adultery. And he said, "Let the one who is without sin be the first to cast a stone." So like I said, the purpose of this video is not to throw stones at Jeffrey Toobin, but there's a lot we can learn about the nature of addiction from the exposure that he experienced and the eventual fallout and condemnation. So the first thing we can learn about addiction is that addiction will interfere with your life, with your family, with your work, with your hobbies. Eventually, when you find yourself in addiction, and I would say, given what happened to Mr. Toobin, pretty good chance that he is an addict. Why else, when you should be on a work Zoom call, you should be focused and engaging on your calling and in your vocation, would you risk so much exposure to do the things that he did on that Zoom call? My answer to that would be, well, there's a pretty good chance he's an addict. And when you are an addict, the addiction itself is going to draw you away from things you should be engaged in, whether it's hobbies, family, other things in your life that you should be doing. Addiction moves many people to not even be able to take care of their self, take care of their body. I work a lot with students, and a lot of times pornography addiction in particular, which is the main topic I talk about here on this channel. Pornography addiction will prevent students from engaging in their schoolwork. They'll stay up too late. They start to lose sleep. Their health will suffer as they're no longer taking care of their body, getting outside in the sun, exercising, doing all the things that we should be doing, engaging with family and friends and relationship. Addiction is going to interfere with your life. Second thing I think we can see here is that addiction will grow. If you have what you consider a small struggle, chances are pretty good if you dabble with addictive behavior, whether it's drugs, alcohol, or something that's highly addictive like internet pornography, then there's a pretty good chance it is going to grow. It will get worse. It will get to the place where you will find yourself doing the things you said you would never do. And as it begins to grow, there's a pretty good chance you're going to end up getting caught. As that addiction grows, there will eventually be led to an exposure. Now, one of the big challenges with internet addiction, internet pornography in particular, is that it's pretty easy to hide that. Now that we have smartphones, we've got a digital porn theater in our pocket that we're carrying around. Falling into addiction, into internet pornography, is extremely easy. Anybody catching you, well, that can be pretty difficult, but those addictions can begin to grow. In the situation that we're talking about with Jeffrey Toobin, it gets to the point where you would do that in a place where you can get exposed and you can get caught. Third and finally, as a result of number 1 and number 2, it's a lot better to seek help now than wait till you hit the bottom and get caught. If you find yourself in an addictive behavior, situations with primarily internet pornography, let me challenge you, don't wait until it grows. Don't wait till it gets out of control. Seek help now. You're going to need some friends of the same gender that you can share and talk to about this struggle. You need to find a small group, whether that's at your church. And if your church doesn't have a small group, let me challenge you to talk to the pastors, talk to the leadership, get one started. Find somebody in your church who has a passion and vision to help others with sexual freedom and sexual addiction. Get a group started at your church. If you're to the place where you have this struggle in your life, you need to seek help now before it becomes too late. But the good news for men like Jeffrey Toobin, the good news for men like me, is that the gospel is for us. You see, when you hit rock bottom, it is a tremendous opportunity to evaluate the offer of forgiveness and grace that Jesus Christ gives. You see, the religious leaders, those who think that they're doing well, who look down their nose on somebody like Jeffrey Toobin, for them, the offer of the gospel is something they feel like they don't need. But when you hit bottom, when you join yourself with, as you read the Gospels, the tax collectors And the prostitutes, people who were on the lowest low of the spectrum, those were the people who were flooding to Jesus. In Matthew 21:31, he looked at the religious teachers and he said, the prostitutes and the tax collectors go into the kingdom of God before you. So you see, the gospel, the forgiveness that Jesus offers, is for those of us like Jeffrey Toobin who have their shame put out there, and the gospel of forgiveness through Christ is for him. And so when you have an exposure, when you realize that you need help, addiction is a tremendous opportunity to understand and seek the gospel. So what do you think? Is there other things that we can learn from this experience with Jeffrey Toobin? What did I miss? If you agree or disagree, be sure to comment below. And if you found this video helpful, definitely subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Hit the like button if you want to help out the channel. This is Jason for Soulfire. I'll catch you in the next one.